British Prime Minister Starmer said that 4 additional Typhoon fighter jets will be sent to Qatar as the conflict in the Middle East escalates, insisting that the UK has the right plan for defense. Britain's cautious response and a drone attack on its key military base in Cyprus have led to doubts among partners about its military effectiveness. U.S. President Donald Trump had also criticized Starmer for failing to provide sufficient support for his strikes on Iran. Meanwhile, British forces have shot down multiple drones across the Middle East over the past 24 hours as Iran continues to retaliate against countries across the region in response to U.S. and Israeli strikes. The UK said the interception of drones above Jordan marks the first time a RAF F-35 has destroyed a target on operations. The fighters were supported by Typhoon jets and a Voyager tanker aircraft.
Our number one priority is protecting our people. And that's why, long before the US and Israeli action last weekend, we had already deployed additional military capabilities to the region to defend our interests. I can announce today that we're sending 4 additional Typhoon jets to join our squadron in Qatar, to strengthen our defensive operations in Qatar and across the region. Wildcat helicopters with anti-drone capabilities are arriving in Cyprus tomorrow.
Let's talk to Global Affairs analyst Kato Nonoju for more on this new development. You heard the UK Prime Minister there announcing the deployment of 4 additional Typhoon fighter jets to Qatar and other assets into the region. What does this signal about the UK's strategic posture, considering that US President Trump had earlier criticized him for failing to provide sufficient support for his strikes on Iran?
Yes. Earlier, the whole of Europe, not just United Kingdom, had been very much angry at Mr. Trump's treatment of Europe in his own way of applying the special relationship between the United States and Europe, most especially the United Kingdom. Well, they have now, despite everything they can accuse Trump of, joined the United States to safeguard Israel. This is the agreement when their suggestion for, a League of Humans did not work, and the United States put forward United Nations. So the League of Nations didn't work, United Nations worked, and it worked. One of its keynotes is the protection of Israel. And at all times, United States will love the other members who were allies during the defeat of the Ottomans in the First World War, which led to the empty lands that you now call Israel, which was formed in 1948, which came after the formation of Turkey in 1924. So that's where we are. Europe is still on board with America in regards to the sworn protection of the state of Israel. It's created right now, and the UK and the rest of Europe are expected to still be with Mr. Trump to defend that strategic US and allies creation in the Middle East, which they call the country, but of course we understand is US most strategic military base in the Middle East. That's what it is.
Interesting. You know that Iran has now launched hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones toward Gulf states, and the UAE is reporting intercepting large numbers of these threats. How sustainable, in your opinion, is Iran's offensive capability, especially now that we're seeing more collaboration between US, Israel, and now the UK?
Iran has capabilities. These issues all have to do about delivery, and Iran has mastered the delivery. And don't forget, these drones are locally produced in Iran, and Iran has prepared for this going forward. It knew this would be. All these allies you call, these are just bases that support the U.S. efforts in the Gulf. And the U.S. is now beginning to call out those bases controlled by the Sheikh in the Gulf. So the Gulf sheikhs have come out to show that, yes, they are with them. And of course, you understand that most of them who are participating against Iran are Sunnis. Iran is Shia. And so you have a proxy Sunni versus Shia disagreement in the Middle East, which also spreads across the world. So if you now ask that Sunni versus Shia, which you earlier saw in the local fight in Yemen, and now envelop the rest of the region, this is it.
Indeed.
So you're having a Sunni versus Shia arrangement, the Gulf states being mostly Sunni, and then Iran being Shia. So they're very happy to participate because they see Iran and the way it was created. By the way, that's the problem. The way Persia was seized by the Islamists and suddenly turned into an Islamic republic, it's what actually bringing trouble. Historically, Israel has always found Persia to be one of its closest allied countries right through time. From creation of Israel in 1948, one of the very, very closest friends and allies it had was Persia, today's Iran.
I'm looking at what you make of the ripple effect and potential impact of what's happened right now with Iranian strikes, U.S.-Israeli counterstrikes, military assets now spreading across the Gulf, including in Qatar, Cyprus, and potentially elsewhere. What are the real risks of this conflict expanding beyond the current Iran-Israel-U.S. confrontation toward a wider Gulf or regional war?
We need to use this to learn going forward. Nobody can wish that the other is wiped away. Nobody can wipe away Iran. Iran is an ancient country that has been around since from the time of Babylon through the Middle Ages, and it is here now with us. So nobody can wipe them away. The current crisis is brought about by the creation of Israel in 1948. And the fact that the same creators envisage a greater Israel, which could actually include parts of Syria, parts of Lebanon, and what you've actually called the occupied territories. Yes, Israel plans for that also to be part of the greater Israel. So we are seeing the establishment of Israel and the consequences of that establishment. If Israel is going to survive in its current form, this is what we will ask, because if you now say you don't like Iran and the posturing it has presented, what are you going to do about it? If you think wiping Iran off is a likely thing for you to be able to have Israel have peace, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
If you also intend to change the government, you need boots on the ground. And you know what it takes to put boots on the ground. That's what you need.
Good place to leave it. Global Affairs Analyst Captain Onaju, thank you for your insight.
Thank you for having me.